said anything about it. Now, did I talk to 5,000 people yesterday? No, but let me see. Over 40 different people. I was in a million different meetings yesterday about, some things, and with plenty of casual subjects came up. The Facebook outage came up. Not that many people talking Super Tuesdays. When Facebook and all the social medias came up, where were all the I voted stickers? Yeah, see, that's not part of that day. And that's why, they don't think people care about it, right? Because, I don't get to, post this photo of me wearing this flag sticker to show everybody I'm a good little American, right? That's not really baked into that day. There's some of it, but it's not baked into the day, like the general election. We know. Right? Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that was what it was, I'm suspicious like anybody else. My thing is that what I'm going to say most of the time is, dude, they're probably running tests on their systems and preparing for attacks. What happens when this happens? Well, dude, it's going to go down actually for a little while. Yeah, but dude, our product is so big. And wait for this part now. It is so addictive that they're only going to want it more once it comes back. We'll take it away from them a little bit. So I think it could have just been about a test on the system. The Super Tuesday issue brought out a lot of interesting stories. They say Nikki Haley going to bow out today. It's all right, yeah, I understand. She lost about 2 months ago. So, I don't know what the hell she's been waiting on. But, there that goes. And they caught up with a voter yesterday. The news did. And they asked this man whether or not he even considered Nikki Haley. It was a Trump supporter for sure. They wanted to know if he even considered Nikki Haley. Here is that interaction between the news and that man.
What do you think of Nikki Haley? Did you ever consider her?
What I got to say, you don't really want to put it on.
Let me hear it.
No, the news does want you to say it. The news absolutely wants you to say it. That's why they walked up to you and started talking to you. Put a pin in that. I'm going to make that point here in a second.
Well, the woman's not going to be a good president. She have no balls to scratch.
Okay, hold on. I need to make sure that I hear this right.
The woman's not going to be a good president. She have no balls to scratch.
What does that... I got to be honest with you. A woman won't be a good president. She doesn't have no balls to scratch. My man, I got to be honest with you, dude. If I'm looking at two dudes to vote for the presidency and one of them can't stop ball handling like John Candy said in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I think I'm going with the other dude. You know what I mean? I'm going with the non-ball fidgeter, I think, is what I'm doing. I don't understand. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
The woman's not going to be a good president. She have no balls to scratch. She's just going to scratch her head. All a woman's good for in my book is having babies and taking care of the house. And
see, now that's the problem right there, is that that's all they're good for. See, you went a little too far, buddy. You went a little too far. Women are good for a lot of other things, right? Now, again, I want to stop right here and say, as a man who pushes back on toxic masculinity and how many people bitch and cry about that kind of stuff, that's a toxic viewpoint. I think it is a toxic viewpoint to say that women aren't good for anything except for taking care of babies, the house, and maybe, the domestic stuff. I think that's a toxic viewpoint. I don't, however, think it's a toxic viewpoint for somebody to prefer that they could have a single working household where somebody stays home and raises the kids, takes care of the family, and kind of does that. That's where you lose me. Preferring a little bit more of a traditional life, I don't believe makes you toxic. Having the opinion that women are only valuable in these arenas, that, as a guy who pushes back on the terminology a lot, I got to be honest with you, I do. I view that to be a toxic viewpoint.
And, that's the old thing, but I'm old school.
No, you're not old school. You're dumb. I mean, my grandmother, my father's mother, worked her entire life. Had one of them alpha husbands who didn't do nothing at home, man. Worked that steel mill. Came on, did his 15, brother. Crank in front of that television now. She had one of them. She worked too. So she was good enough for that. This is what I love, man. People will say this kind of stuff, but it's like, if I say this about your daughter, how mad you gonna get? No, not my kid. loser mom who wasn't good for nothing. What about her? No, not my mama. Right? Oh, miraculously, your viewpoints don't hold up against your own family members there. No.
So you never even considered her?
No.
Mainly because she's a woman?
No, she's female. So, I mean, females, don't get me wrong, females know what they're doing, but they still got to have a little bit of guidance. Trump would be the one to guide her.
All right, so first, yeah, I don't know if you've heard, buddy, the president literally has a staff of people, wait for it, called advisors. So, like, the men need that too. This is a job that you can't know what you're doing until you're doing it. I think we need to be honest about that. But let's circle back to why the news is talking to us. I told you, I think it was 5 years ago about this. If you see the local news and they're walking up to you and they want to talk to you, turn around and walk the other way. They think you're stupid. You think they're looking for the most informed opinion out there to run at 5:30 in the afternoon while you're doing 9 other things, paying attention to the news, and you hear, oh my God, man, just give me a ball scratcher and I'll vote for him, right? Like, you think they actually want the most informed person out there? No. They want what's going to get them their views. This isn't you being informed. This is us pointing and laughing at an idiot. Yes, I'm guilty here too. I'm playing you the audio. Absolutely. Here's the other thing. You know what they wanted to do here, right? They wanted to position him as the face of everybody who's going to vote the same way he is going to vote. That's what that video is for. Why do you think the reporter says, no, lay it on me. Lay it on me, because I'm going to take the rest of your brethren and run this train over with them in the 6 o'clock news because you said this to me. And so now all of a sudden for 72 hours, everybody who's looking to vote that way becomes this man, which we all know that's not true. You know, I say that, but let me rephrase. We all hope that's not true, and I don't believe that it is. And that's why I said we all know it's not true, because I don't believe that it is true. What I do believe is, knowing about the media a little bit, dude, when they chase you down with that camera, baby, they think you are absolutely dumb, and they can't wait to show it to everybody.
He's a bad influence. But nobody is stupid enough to take him seriously. The Stansberry Show. Rock 1069.
Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. Give me an hour, I'll get you into the National, that show at Blossom. September on that one. Oh man, like, we're burning through this year already passing out stuff for September. I mean, I know it's only March, but you know how that goes. Blink a couple of times, it'll be around. So we'll do that at around 8:45. You know, a lot of what gets discussed on this program is the disconnect between generations sometimes. And I've talked plenty about how that can be tricky in the workplace, and that's always been a little bit true, right? You know, some older people waiting to finish out their careers as the new workers come in, and there can be a, I don't know if you should say this in the office anymore, some of that, and like, you know, some of that kind of stuff. And I've said, I think where a huge disconnect comes is online. Like, I keep pointing this out about social media. Like, when you were 19, how many 70-year-olds did you talk to? Your grandparents. And your parents forced you to do that. Now, every day, 19-year-olds and 70-year-olds will argue back and forth about the issues of the day. It's just it's like, that's kind of newer. Like, that wasn't like a thing, you know? And so it's brought out some, you know, sticky situations in it. And then you add in, and I've been talking about this for a long time, that, you know, when I grew up, I had to read a lot of comedy. You know, I was a National Lampoon fan, and a Mad Magazine fan, and a Cracked fan. And so, like, reading sarcasm and reading comedy was, we were more conditioned to it once upon a time. We're now reading more than ever, and yet nobody seems to be able to pick up when somebody is being sarcastic. We're lost in the sauce of that a little bit, right? And, you know, I've talked about how, you know, you're not going to be received the way you think in your head as you put something in print. Not everybody's walking through your mind and, like, what you were thinking before and after what you said. And, you know, it leads to a lot of problems. So another way people communicate these days is not just by, you know, words and text messages and, you know, online messages and the like. It's also emojis. which I've been doing this long enough for a career, this makes me lucky, where I had to tell people what an emoji was. Like, they were so new in my career, I was like, all right, for those of you that don't know, this is what an emoji is. I'm so old and have been doing this so long, I had to do that for what we used to call applications. And then when we started to use the abbreviation of apps, it was then like, all right, so when we say app, this is what we mean. We don't mean mozzarella sticks. This is what we mean. And I remember doing all of that, right? And so now, man, you look around, it's like we all know this stuff, we all communicate this way. Older people who laughed at emojis now will use their favorite ones, and that's what we're going to talk about. There's a younger, I don't know if this is an influencer or not, I really don't know, but she looks like a young influencer. She has the right hairstyle, she has the right snow hat on when it's 90 degrees outside, and man, is she angry. So, like, that seems like social media influencing to me these days. And she's upset about one of the emojis that people 40 plus will use. Let's find out if she's right about this.
Yo, I guess I'm gonna need to be the one to explain to all of the 40-year-old people and above, so 40 plus.
Watch now as I'm about to be ageist while I tell you that entire group of people is awful for what they do. You ready? I'm gonna take this time to be ageist while complaining about what they do to us. Won't this be fun? Let's sit down and get a lesson here.
Yo, I guess I'm gonna need to be the one to explain to all of the 40-year-old people and above, so 40 plus. Yo, you guys keep sending out these thumbs up emojis, and they look more like this.
Now, you know what she's doing there, right? She's now giving you the finger to the camera is what she's doing.
And out these thumbs up emojis, and they look more like this to the Gen Z and millennials. Yo, we depict the thumbs up as a it's rude.
Okay, so like that audio, for some reason, cut out, before she finished saying the word rude. But that's the end of it. How you receive something isn't my business or my responsibility. I say this all the time about what I say on the show. People will misconstrue what I've said. They will mishear. They will take the kids out of the car. They will say, "You said," ah! And I have to go back and say, no, I didn't. What I said was this. And so through that happening to me for 20-some years, again, very blessed, what I have said is I am not responsible for what it is you hear. I'm responsible for what it is I have said. Those are wildly different things most times. It's remarkable to me how people who listen every day can know what my positions are, know what thing, but they'll misconstrue it all the time. Welcome to it, right? It's not their fault. It's just kind of life. People are busy, misunderstood this and that. But like if somebody sends you a thumbs up emoji, and it's literally just meant like, all right, thumbs up, I understand what we're talking about here. You're fine. Now, do we use some of those emojis in passive-aggressive manner in communicating with one another? Well, I think we all know the answer there is yes. But do we also know that it's not just people 40 plus? Yes, we know that too. So what I would tell this young, angry person, and I gotta be honest with you, I think one steak might do it. I think like one steak, and you might not necessarily be this pissed off, young lady. I think one might do it. Little A1, you're gonna be fine, right? You're gonna be fine. I think what she needs to be reminded of is this. When the olds, you like how I say that, like I'm not in that group? You like that? Yeah, let me separate myself here. When we, the olds, start using your lingo, start using your terms, start using your emojis, we're accused of holding on to our youth. We're accused of not letting you have your own space to do things. Look at you trying. How do you do, fellow kids? That's what we're accused of. So do you want us saying lit and fam and sus? Like, do you want us talking like this or don't you? You all have the internet. You're all out there on your YouTube channels. Get together this afternoon, decide, and then let us know already.
You thought Stansbury was a mess on air? Check out the show's Facebook page. Stansbury Show. Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. this morning, the national anthem conversation in sports is back. this time with Major League Baseball. Now, they had embroiled themselves in that controversy a few years ago as well, but now we have a baseball manager out there with an edict for his team. So we'll open that up. We'll do that later in the program. We had just given you this piece of audio. Some of you may have missed this, so let's run it again. There is a younger person out there yelling at the 40 plus people, I would be in that group, about our communication skills and working of the emojis back and forth with the people and what you send and what you don't send. Apparently, you and I, those of you that are 40 or older, are being passive-aggressive with some of the emojis, and I would have to admit sometimes I am. Well, here's what she had to say about it.
Yo, I guess I'm going to need to be the one to explain to all of the 40-year-old people and above, so 40 plus. Yo, you guys keep sending out these thumbs up emojis, and they look more like this to the Gen Z and millennials.
So she's giving you the finger, right? She's saying that's how it's received.
Yo, we depict the thumbs up as a it's rude.
Okay, she goes on to say it's rude. For some reason that audio cut out before she finishes that word. I apologize. And I said, I was like, well, how you receive something isn't my responsibility. I'm responsible for what I've done, right? But now I talk about this a lot, where I'm like, be careful with what you're writing to people. Because they're going to receive it in the mood they're in. And what they think you're saying. It happened to me once, honestly, more than once. But I'll tell you a pretty good story about this. I have a daily listener, his name's Jeff. Jeff's a great guy. I've now had the chance to meet him more than one time. Great guy. It was early in the morning and he wrote something in here. And I misunderstood it because it was early in the morning. I was trying to get everything ready. And you know what? I took his head off a little bit. That's my mistake. I received it in the wrong manner. That had nothing to do with Jeff. Long story short, I ended up finding out his daughter's a huge Kiss fan. I had some merchandise laying around the house. I was like, yo, man, I do actually feel really bad about that. Let me send you some, I'll send you a shirt. Like, I'm dude, my bad. I'm sorry. Like, I'm usually better than that. I'm sorry. But, like, it can happen. Right? Like, of course it can. We can be misunderstood. We can be misunderstood while verbally. I mean, I'm misunderstood all the time. You know, happens. Okay, fair. So a lot of people said, well, there's a major difference between the thumbs up and the middle finger. You know, Katie had said that. You know, there's a difference in those two things. I appreciate Katie being with us this morning. Jeremy also said, maybe it's just me. I happen to be one of those 40-plussers. But why would I send a thumbs up as a middle finger when I have the middle finger emoji to send? Because what the hell do I know? I've only been on the planet 41 plus years. You know what I mean? How the hell do I know what I'm talking about? Okay. So yes, that keyboard gives you the middle finger emoji. But it's not right for all forms. It's not right for everybody you communicate with. Much like in the corporate world, per my last email is, are you goddamned R-worded? I literally said it, laid it out in the previous email. That's what per my last email means. Just like kind of how bless your heart doesn't mean bless your heart. Bless your heart means get a load of this idiot. Right? Like that's what that means. That's what bless your heart means. So there can be that. So what I'm assuming she's talking about is maybe work communication back and forth. Because we have to be honest about this. There are people you work with every day that you tell to go to hell without telling them to go to hell. Maybe it's the laughing emoji. Maybe it is the thumbs up one. But she's not wrong that this happens. That people can be passive aggressive with their emoji use. Right? And it's like, well, no, I mean, I gave you the thumbs up. What we're doing there is giving up the plausible deniability that it could have been done on the up and up. My problem with what she's saying isn't that she's inaccurate and not that it doesn't happen. My problem with what she's saying, and you're allowed to have other problems with it, but my problem is she's making it out like we're the only ones who do it, where that's not true. And I'm just going to guess that this is the exact kind of person, this is the kind of person, right?
Yo, I guess I'm gonna need to be the one to explain to all of the 40-year-old people and above, so 40 plus.
Yo, you guys keep sending out these thumbs up emojis, and they look more like this to the Gen Z and millennials.
So I'm just gonna guess that's the same kind of person who would tell you that the boomer deserved whatever passive aggressive she passed out. The boomer deserved it. Okay, well, you realize the boomer thinks you deserve it. Who's right? You're probably both right in your situation. Like I've said about advice before. Like sometimes when an older person will sit a younger person down and try to give you a little bit of advice, you feel like you're being lectured to. They're just trying to save you some time. Depending on who it is who's talking to you. Some people are lecturing to you, I won't deny that. But David, my brother, is 7 years older than me. And in my entire life, David has tried to save me so much time. Don't do that. That's gonna be, don't, oh man, I'm not sure I would have done that. There, so many times. It would have saved me money, it would have saved me time, it would have saved me frustration, it would have saved me, but you don't know, I know, trailblazing, my generation. And you feel like you're being lectured to. I think there's so much conversation built on these two generations of people hate one another so much that everybody just walks into the communication assuming that they're out to harm you or out to piss you off. But come on. We know this does happen. Again, bless your heart, per my last email, all of that kind of stuff. These things, these types of statements, phrases, emojis, they are baked into the way we communicate. Much like LOL can absolutely mean, oh, thanks for that, dude, that was a little funny, or keep trying, John, you're never there, right? Like it can also mean that. You know how many times I've sent LOL back of, okay, dummy, I've had enough of this communication. We could be done with this for today now.
Like a wake and bake. With an easy bake oven. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
We'll get you into the National by the end of this hour. That show at Blossom in September. All right. I don't know if you've noticed this, and by saying that, what I mean to say is I know for sure that you have, is that this world today is obsessed with telling us there is no difference in genders, all the while trying as desperately as we can to define the roles of the genders. I mean, it's kind of weird, right? I mean, it's kind of a weird thing that happened. And I've been talking about this for a long, long time, is that, you know, the internet is it's a great resource, but it can also be a pretty scary place, man. Any crazy thought process you have, you can go find people who agree with you. Doesn't mean that you're right about it, right? But, you know, that can happen. You can find your support group of like, no, man, it's the normies are wrong. We're right? Like, there's a lot of that can happen. And so whatever crazy theory you have, you can find your people and be like, oh, see, I've been right about this all along, which can get a little crazy. And we have taken manhood and put it underneath the microscope for a few years. What's it mean? What's toxic? What's just standard being a man? What's, and again, like, let's be honest about this, like, don't put women in their traditional role, but can you lift up that 5-gallon water thing and put it in the cooler, in the break room at work? Hey, make sure you take the garbage out. You know, I mean, it's like, so where we're allowed to kind of put people in, like, this is your job because, you know, you got a penis, and where you're not, you know, it's a fine line where that gets drawn. And I bring it up because apparently they did a survey, and albeit a small one, this was under 5,000 people who had been studied, and I feel like, you know, I should tell you that part, about manhood. Now, this was men that they polled, you know. Define man. I know, it's a funny conversation, right? But they asked me about the societal pressure to be manly. And apparently 50% of the men that were in this survey had said, oh yeah, I absolutely feel pressure to perform in a masculine manner. 8 in 10 agree that there is societal pressure for men to behave a certain way. Rub some dirt in it, tough it out! Real men don't cry! You sit there emotionless, man. And then Eastwood, he'll give you your man card, I guess. Like, right, whatever the hell those morons think. I literally, I'm not sure that they think. So like, I don't, you know what I mean? So I don't quite know what to make of that, all right? But let me see here. 48% have a specific body type that they feel as if they have to present to be considered to be manly. Well, again, it depends what social media influencer you're following. You know, you follow the kettlebellers, they're going to tell you, dude, do you have 3% body fat? You pussy! Wake up tomorrow at 2:45, give me another hour! Right? Like, they're going to, like, those idiots are out there on that hustle. And then there's the other idiot.